Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Wdtb podcast. And finally, the team has come back to the podcast. We've located Joe Sunseri. We got him on, dialed in. Geoff Landry as well, alongside Zach Reichard, the Beast, Benny Cakes, Ben Mostoller, myself, Ryan Stanko, breaking down what was a tremendous championship Sunday in the National Football League. And guys, we're not going to waste much time. We're just going to dive right into it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 31-26 winners over the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field, a place they said it was nearly impossible to win, but nothing is possible, or impossible, I should say, for number 12 in Tampa.
Yeah, I agree, Ryan. Getting into the Bucs Packers here a little bit. First thing that comes to mind, obviously, you got to talk about Brady. I've been kind of big these past 2 weeks on picking the Saints and picking the Packers, so I kind of doubt them a little bit. I don't think that was more so Brady. I just thought the other two teams were better, and I think Saints and Packers were better. It's just Brady is Brady, and he just knows how to win. He gets the job done. He makes everybody better. And the verse side of that, Aaron Rodgers, is just something about him where it's almost like he does the opposite, where he doesn't make everybody better. It's almost like when they go down, you kind of can just see in Rodgers' emotion and how he portrays himself. It's kind of like, all right, we're down in the dumps, you know. Whenever Brady's down, he's firing everybody up, getting everybody going. It's just total two opposites of character there. And I think that kind of just will be the sum up of their careers. It's just, that's why Brady wins. Rodgers has lost 4 straight NFC championship games now, I believe, ever since the Super Bowl win. So they had the team, and he had everything. He was at Lambeau finally. It's just facing the Brady and the Bucs. This is Brady's first year, no camp, first year with all these guys. It was just, everything was written in stone for Rodgers to win that game. But Brady, that's why he's the best there is. Obviously, going into the game a little bit here real quick, how it ended with the pass interference call. I mean, we can all have our sides on this, but I do think Scotty Miller kind of sold it a little bit and had a little bit of a flop there.
Tyler Johnson, Zach.
Tyler Johnson, sorry. Yeah, Tyler Johnson, I think he sold it a little bit, but there was the grab of the jersey and the tug of the jersey, and that's usually an automatic flag. You hate to see a game kind of end that way. Usually they let him play, but it was just too much of a jersey grab. He had it extended, pulled, ripped the undershirt. So the refs got to throw that. I mean, there's talks that I think the right tackle for the Bucs could have got called for a holding call as well in that play when they looked into it. So it's like, how do you count that out? But they called it, and I don't even think that was the call to decide the game. I mean, the Packers had the chances. Brady had 3 interceptions in the second half. Packers had that 3rd and goal, and then 4th and goal where they decided to kick the field goal. 3rd and goal, Rodgers could have ran it in, or at least got to the 1 or 2 if he didn't run it in, and then they probably go for it on 4th and goal there when they're a little bit closer. So the chances were there for the Packers. I really don't look too much into the call, although you hate to see a game end that way. But Packers get it done, or Buccaneers get it done against the Packers, and it's just Brady, man.
Yeah, I think the real MVP of this one, Ride Guy, is Jason Light. I mean, he put together an absolute stellar team on both sides of the ball. So whenever they got into those meetings in the offseason with Tom Brady, it was a no-brainer for him to go down to Tampa Bay. I mean, they already had Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, but then you add Rob Gronkowski. I think they definitely had plans of adding Antonio Brown throughout the entire year. Leonard Fournette on the defensive side, just absolute wonderful picks on each D-line, linebackers, defensive backs. They just had an absolute great team. It goes to show in the NFL, it's a lot about the general manager as well, too. And that's why I think Jason Light is the MVP of this team. I mean, they are going to the Super Bowl now, where the Packers, instead of trying to fill their team up to win now, they picked a quarterback and a running back, when we don't have to go much into that in the first 2 rounds. But just goes to show how Tampa Bay Buccaneers did everything they possibly could to be in the position that they are now in the Super Bowl. And I like them in this game, especially. We'll get to the Super Bowl, I'm sure, but yeah, I had the Bucs winning this game. Wasn't a shock to me. They were just hungry. They were ready to go. What do you think, Benny Cakes?
Well, you just take a look at this game, and it was a very good competitive game as expected. I think it really came down to with Rodgers, as you're saying, he just couldn't capitalize. That offense had so many opportunities, and you come down to a poor coaching decision at the end of kicking a field goal instead of trying to go for it, in my opinion. It really cost them. Brady throwing 3 interceptions. You would think, all right, guy throws 3 interceptions, the other team's going to capitalize, and they just couldn't and didn't. Comes down to that call at the end. I agreed that there was probably a hold there. I wouldn't have called it pass interference, but they really weren't calling anything that game, so it kind of really sucks to have called it there. I would have liked to see Rodgers get one more shot, but hey, Brady goes back to the Super Bowl, and this will be his 7th Super Bowl win if he can win it, which is more than any one team if he can get the job done here with the Buccaneers. He'll also be in more Super Bowls than 9 other teams in Super Bowl history. 10 Super Bowl starts is the most by a quarterback. Second is Elway with 5. And, of course, Brady, second in passing yards behind Breeze, which he could pass next year if Breeze retires, and second in completions, first in touchdowns. The guy's just the GOAT. He's just the best. He's got that nod already, in my opinion. And you can see that from moving from the Patriots to the Buccaneers, just what he brings to the team. A lot of people are saying, was it the coaching? Was it Belichick or was it Brady? And this year we saw that was Brady and what he brings to a team. And honestly, I think he can take almost any team just with his leadership and the way that he plays to a Super Bowl or at least deep into the playoffs. The guy's just a winner. And, their team looks pretty good. Fournette had a nice little run there. He's kind of coming alive. So, the Packers, we'll see what happens this coming year with Rodgers, but I still think they'll be competitive. But, shout out to Brady getting the job done once again on a new team.
And I have to say this, the amazing statistic. Tom Brady is even good at throwing interceptions. Brady now 3-1 in the postseason. That is his record when he's thrown 3 or more picks in a single game. So Brady even wins when he throws interceptions. It's absolutely insane. My main takeaway from this game, Kevin King, the defensive back for Green Bay, someone should have told him when the game kicked off and the fact that they were playing in Lambeau Field. Let's just talk about this all-time bad performance. He mistimes a jump on the Mike Evans touchdown that allows Evans to catch the ball and Tampa to go in front. Gets run over at the goal line on the Leonard Fournette touchdown, burnt by Scotty Miller right before the half, that allows Tampa to score a touchdown and go into the break with 28 instead of 21. And then the defensive pass interference on Tyler Johnson, as Ben, Zach, and Joey, you all alluded to. I have to say this before we move on. Rant alert. You look at the shot from behind the line of scrimmage. You see Brady in the tackle box, in the pocket with the ball when the holding penalty was called. The officials called 3 penalties up until the point where they decided the NFC Championship game. The 4th penalty was the defensive pass interference penalty. I don't disagree that a foul was called on the play, but the flag was thrown late, and it was in response to a reaction from Johnson, the receiver for Tampa Bay. The call should have been either a holding or an illegal contact because Brady still had the ball in his hand in the pocket. That's a soft call. And again, we have an NFC Championship game decided at the hands of the officials. Shout out my man, Aaron Rodgers, 33 of 48, 346, and 3 touchdowns. Just the 1 interception. And the big question is, where does Green Bay go from here? Rodgers, future uncertain. Aaron Jones in a contract year. They're not paying him $10 million. Green Bay needs answers because their aging franchise quarterback is still the best, but the window has begun to close. Moving on to the AFC Championship game, someone should have told the Bills they needed to do more than just score the first two scores of the game, because the Chiefs play a full 60 minutes. The Bills do not. And once again, Patty Mahomes, Andy Reid, mask and all, are headed to the Super Bowl for the second consecutive year. Ben, if there was one thing that stood out most about this game to you, what would you zero in on?
Just how amazing Patrick Mahomes is. I mean, in my opinion, right now, he's the best quarterback in the league. He just gets the job done. And I'll tell you what, his two guys that he's got, Hill and Kelsey, this might be the best duo catching the ball and with yards that we've seen. Hill and Kelsey combined for 22 of 29 of Mahomes' completions this past week, along with 290 of his 325 passing yards and 2 of 3 touchdowns, which Kelsey had the 2. But you just take a look at this game, and the Chiefs like to play from behind. I don't know what's with it in them in the playoffs and wanting to be behind, but they just get the momentum. They come out and they come back and they just take over the game. And it all starts with Patrick Mahomes. I'll tell you what, their defense looked very good, though, in my opinion. They were able to get to Josh Allen, although he was able to run on him. That's the only person that can run on that Bills offense. So, you know, they made him scramble. They made him uncomfortable in the pocket, which kind of surprised me. I thought the Bills' defense would have played a little bit better in this game. But overall, you know, this is going to be a very good Super Bowl matchup. And we saw a little bit earlier in the season, which we'll talk about later when we talk about the Super Bowl. We saw the matchup happen already. It's going to be a great one. And, you know, you take a look at this Bills team, they're still young and they're just going to keep getting better with Josh Allen and this defense. You know, I think that they need to fix this run game. Of course, it was very bad this year, and I don't think the answer is Singletary. I'd give more of Zach Moss a shot here. But taking a look at, you know, the Chiefs here, back-to-back Super Bowls is just I think we're seeing a new young baby goat in Patrick Mahomes following along with with Brady, which is I love the meme with Baby Yoda and Yoda saying, you know, between Mahomes and Brady. So I think we're seeing something here, and I'm gonna love the Super Bowl seeing the baby goat versus the goat.
Yeah, as much as I love the Bills team this year and was super excited to see a Bills-Bucks matchup, like Macho Man Randy Savage says, the cream always rises to the top, and the Kansas City Chiefs just had too much star power for the Bills to overcome. Like I said, I wanted Bucks-Bills in the Super Bowl, but just look at the matchup that we're going to have with the Chiefs and the Bucks. Just stars at every level of the field, stars at every position. This is going to be one of the best Super Bowls in recent history, I believe. And just touching on that Chiefs-Bills game, Mahomes is definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. It's hard to argue that, but I just think that they just had too much firepower just for the Bills to overcome.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. It's just Chiefs, like you were saying, Ben, they like starting down and they come back and win. The Bills, I mean, it's kind of finally was a game where it's like, okay, this is a little bit too big of a spot for them maybe. You got to give the Chiefs credit with what they did. The Bills were easily the hottest team in the NFL coming into this game. They were beating everybody, destroying everybody. They were on a 10-game win streak. The week before, they played the Ravens, who were the second hottest team in the league. They beat them, came out on top there. And then the Chiefs just come into this game, win by 2 scores, and just same old Chiefs winning again. And the Bills, you totally forgot that this team was scoring 30-some a game, winning every game, and the Bills just went back to being, all right, maybe they don't really belong here. They had a little overachieving season. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bills come back with next year. I definitely think Josh Allen, the improvement that he had was the key factor into the success that the Bills had. obviously head coach, love what he's doing there. So it was the Chiefs. It's just that you can't say enough about them. Kelsey and Hill, obviously the two main factors there. You could make a case that that's the best wide receiver in the game and the best tight end in the game. And Patrick Mahomes just knows how to get it done. He knows what to do. Chiefs moving on, and Bills. Well, they had a successful season though. I will say that it's not a letdown for the Bills. Obviously, when you have a run like this, you want to cap it off and get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. But I mean, the Bills were good. They got something going on there. I think we're going to see them a little bit down the road here, up and coming. But cap tip to the Chiefs. They're going to the Super Bowl again.
Zach, you talk about where the Bills go from here. And in my opinion, it has to be a running game because they got too one-dimensional in the games that mattered most. Devin Singletary goes 6 for 17. TJ Yeldon, 3 for 15. Isaiah McKenzie, 2 for 9. 11 total rushes by non-Josh Allens for just 41 yards. That is simply just not enough. Not enough to get it done in the National Football League, and not enough to maintain balance so that other teams respect both the run and the pass. So I think the Bills have to go maybe with a running back in the first round of the NFL draft. Try to see if a guy like Najee Harris falls, Chuba Hubbard maybe. We're going to have to see, but they need a ground game, and they need it bad because I don't think Singletary's the answer, good pass catcher. I don't think Zach Moss is the answer. But again, just a rookie in his first season go. Another bold prediction. I think Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are both going in the first round of our fantasy football draft next year with 14 teams PPR. Mark that down. Those two are just enormous when they're healthy. I know Travis Kelce, 32 years old. He's not slowing down. In this offense, the way that they scheme it, good Lord, Mecole Hardman's lighting up the field. 50-yard run. The Chiefs are just too good, a wealth of riches, and it just shows you that they are in a class of their own in the AFC. Championship Sunday. And we exhale. Now it's time to kind of look back and see what we got right and what we got wrong. Every week we pick winners. We tell you to go to the window. They cash. We do our best, right? The research tells us the direction we're going to go. Zach, lead off here because your lock of the week was indeed a lock of the week.
Yeah, I had the over in the NFC game there. I just loved what both of those teams were doing. Obviously, the Packers and Bucks. I mean, I just felt it was going to be a high-scoring game. Packers have been scoring 30 each week. Bucks have been scoring each week. That 55.5 it was, or 52.5. That was an absolute lock for me. Very confident in that. I also, on the bad side of it, what I got wrong was I did, however, pick the Packers to win this game and cover that -3. So I was wrong on that part. So a little 1-for-1 there, but I'll take it with having the over in that game. So, 50-50 on that.
I didn't get to pick anything. You didn't ask me to be on the last podcast, Ryan, so I can't really talk too much about this one.
That's what happens when you say that you quit. So we had to bring Joe back out of retirement, had to locate him. Hey, creative differences aside, we're back to full strength, baby.
My bet of the week last week, though, just one off. Cleo Roundtree should have won that decision. You would have won some money on that.
Hey, little of this, little of that. Ben, what'd you get right? What'd you get wrong? And what did you learn?
Well, I learned to stop betting on the Bills because every time I do, it goes wrong. But take a look at the first game. I hit the over on the Buccaneers and Packers game, as well as the Bucks to cover. I just didn't want to go against Brady, and I like to get in the points there. I also player prop Evans under 63 yards. He did hit it. We always talk about play the over. Well, this time I said play the under, and it paid off. So what I learned, again, don't ask me about the Bills, or don't listen to my opinion on the Bills, because you're not going to be taking anything to the bank if I talk about that.
That's an oh no Buffalo. So Jeff and I teamed up a little bit. Jeff was flying the country. We finally got him wheels back down to the ground. We teamed up on Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill said, take the yards, take the receptions over, count it. Marquez Valdes-Scantling said, play him. Don't even think about it. Don't even watch the game. He's going to clip his yardage prop. It was in the low 30s. That was an absolute lock. Chris Godwin, we said to play him over yards, mid-60s. Antonio Brown out. He had a couple of bad drops early. Didn't matter. Had that insane catch down the middle of the field. Tom Brady dropped a dime only where Godwin could make the catch. Gotta love that from the former Penn State Nittany Lion, Chris Godwin. We did miss on Robert Tonyan. Geoff, can you confirm that Robert Tonyan is now dead to us?
Yeah, hey, good run. Made some money on him last week, but hey, sometimes you get him right, sometimes you get him wrong. But we enjoyed it.
We enjoyed some of it, I guess, but we did miss on Stephon Diggs as well, and John Brown. Just thought that passing attack was going to have more success against Kansas City, and it just didn't. Now, as we move forward away from championship weekend, away from what we got right and away from what we got wrong, and before we get to our Super Bowl outlook, how about we talk about the NFL awards that are coming up on February the 6th before the big game kicks off the following day on Sunday. And I'm going to take this one because I'm going to make a case for a guy. I know he's probably the front runner for MVP, but Aaron Rodgers is my guy. Had him in fantasy the last 2 years. Yeah, we know. Everybody knows. Aaron Rodgers is my guy. I had him in fantasy the last 2 years. This year, 10th round pick. Give me that. That was a good one. Rodgers ended up turning in probably one of the best careers or one of the best seasons of his entire career. And here's why: 4,059 yards. Yeah, that's seventh, but not where the numbers end. 44 touchdowns, first in the National Football League. 5 interceptions, lowest of any starting quarterback to play starting quarterback type games, like right around 10 plus games. Yeah, Rodgers, efficiency at its finest. 3 rushing touchdowns, just 2 games all year with less than 2 touchdowns. The man is a machine, and a 70.7 completion percentage, first in the National Football League, and a rating of 121.5. Shouldn't even hold the ceremony, shouldn't even announce that Rodgers is the MVP when it comes time. They should have just handed him his trophy already and saved time for some of the other races that are tighter. Aaron Rodgers at 37 years young, just amazing in the red zone, amazing with the deep connections all year long. There isn't a quarterback in the National Football League, in my opinion, more talented than Aaron Rodgers. Hand him his MVP and give the LVP to his coach, Matt LaFleur, for not giving him the ball on 4th and goal from the 8, kicking the field goal, and trusting what was a suspect defense all season long.
Hey, yeah. Ryan, I think we agree it's consensus on MVP with Aaron Rodgers there. So I'm going to take a side step away from that and cover Coach of the Year. Going to roll with Kevin Stefanski of the Cleveland Browns, spending time from 06 to 19 with the Minnesota Vikings, waiting his turn. And where does he go? The cesspool of Cleveland. He comes in there, takes over a team, hadn't been to the playoffs since 2002. You know the history with the starting quarterbacks. I can't even think about how long that list is of names now, but they got a guy in Baker Mayfield who's a competitor, and that's what you need in this league. So he turns around his first year, takes the Browns to an 11-5 record, and a franchise win in the playoffs there against the Steelers. I think he's got them going in the right direction, and I look forward to seeing what they can do here in the next couple of years. And then another one I want to hit on real quick, my man Alex Smith, comeback player of the year. Joey's going to give me some grief for this, but let's think about Smith back in 2018 when he suffered the compound fracture and he had the spiral fracture, they reported, where it's basically the fracture was up in his ankle, through his tibia and his knee, needed screws and plates. And then what we found out in that ESPN documentary, that Alex Smith actually almost died. His fever spiked, leg turned black. Doctors couldn't figure out what was going on. Comes out that he had sepsis, basically, the muscle is eating away at itself. Doctors tell his wife, hey, we're doing the best we can. Right now, we're just trying to save his life. 17 surgeries, 4 hospital stays later. Alex Smith magically makes it back on the football field, starts 6 games this year while the passing stats and that, say what you want about him. He goes 5-1 as a starter this year. Comeback player of the year, named the trophy after him.
Yeah, that is the ultimate cap tip to Alex Smith. I mean, that if you want to talk about having respect for a guy and what he did with all the things Geoff just mentioned, that says it right there. Definitely comeback play of the year. I mean, the Redskins would have been nowhere near what they were without him. As soon as he started taking over, they went on a little winning streak there. They knocked off the Steelers' unbeaten record on Monday night, I believe it was. So mad respect to Alex Smith for that. Kind of brought his career back a little bit there, and I kind of like what Alex Smith is going to have going forward. I'm going to try to get into defensive player of the year here. That's one of the ones that interests me the most. I think that's the closest race we have. Aaron Donald and TJ Watt are arguably the 1 and 2 that we're going to have versing each other here. It almost seems like this should go to TJ Watt. And the reason why it may not is because of Aaron Donald's the bigger name, the bigger player. He's won it twice already. So it's almost like, oh, you got to give it to Aaron Donald. Then he had another great year. But I mean, when it comes to TJ Watt, he led the league in sacks, tackle for loss, quarterback hits. He had an interception. Aaron Donald didn't. I mean, he had the Steelers with the number 1 D. 10 games into the year, they were 10-0. If anything, my vote would be for TJ Watt. I think he just had a crazy good year. Donald, it's just, you could give it to him every single year with how dominant he was. But I think TJ Watt has the stats. Donald has a lot more to win ahead of him. So I'm very interested to see what will happen with that award. But TJ Watt is getting my vote for sure.
Yeah, I agree with Zach. I like TJ Watt to win that. They're both game changers, but TJ Watt just getting after the quarterback, courtesy of Tack McKinley. But TJ Watt getting after the quarterback, he's in the back.
We gonna get to the quarterback.
Every single play, he's in the backfield. I like TJ Watt to win this, even though he skips out on his invoices. The offensive rookie of the year, I love Justin Jefferson, but the season that Justin Herbert had was absolutely phenomenal. Over 4,000 passing yards, over 30 touchdowns, and only 10 interceptions on a team that really wasn't that good. They had a lot of injuries throughout the year at the skill positions, and he still made do with whatever they gave him. So Justin Herbert is looking like he's going to be the best quarterback out of that draft class of last year, and a lot of big future for the Chargers. But those are my 2 that I kind of have the most interest in. Offensive player of the year, I guess, too. I still will never understand how, if Rodgers wins MVP, how he's not offensive player of the year, but the favorite to win that award is Derrick Henry. And I like that he will get some recognition for the season he had. Absolute beast, running people over, touchdowns, 2,000 yard rushing, lunch tables. He's half man, half truck, Geoff said. It's always fun having these boys together for this one. I think Geoff, he didn't believe in Justin Jefferson though, but we already touched on that.
Yeah, you guys pretty much nailed it all. I like everybody that you said. I like Rodgers to win the MVP, which would be his 3rd MVP award, he'd be the 6th player to do that, joining Brady and some others. You could make an argument.
One Super Bowl though.
You could argue Mahomes getting to the Super Bowl could win the MVP once again here. I think it could go that way, but I'm leaning more towards Rodgers. Again, with Rookie of the Year, it's going to be a tight race between Herbert and Jefferson. Coming into the year, I really liked Justin Jefferson to finish at least as a number 1 wide receiver, and he did just that for the rookies. but Herbert was only 39 yards away from breaking the rookie passing yard record. He's the youngest quarterback to throw 30-plus touchdowns in a season. Most completions for a rookie he had. Most games with 300 passing yards with 8 as a rookie. Most games with at least 2 touchdown passes with 10, and most games with at least 3 touchdown passes with 6. He also didn't start the season at quarterback. So he put up these numbers with missing a few games. And again, just like you said, he played a lot of the season without some of these skilled players. Austin Eckler, one of the better ones, and Keenan Allen was banged up. Williams was banged up, and a lot of new guys like Guyton, and just he had to deal with a lot of new people on this offense. So going into next year, he's going to be a great fantasy play, in my opinion. So my offensive rookie of the year would go to Herbert, and we didn't touch on the defensive rookie of the year, but I'm pretty sure that's going to go to Chase Young, no doubt about that. It just really sucks. I played the MVP, the offense rookie of the year, and the defense rookie of the year. It was a bet on Fox Sports. It was Mahomes to win the MVP, Young to win the defensive, and Burrow to win the offensive. So that ain't gonna hit, but hey, that would have been something if it did. But I think there's just a lot of a good player.
Just imagine if you had all 3 of those guys on one team.
Yes, that would be phenomenal. But you just take a look at these races, especially the rookie. There's a lot of good rookies going forward. You even give a shout out to Jonathan Taylor, who I know Ryan liked a lot, and he came on at the end of the season. There's just a lot of good rookies that are going to be good going forward, and even drafted really early in most fantasy drafts come next year.
Ben, if Justin Herbert does win offensive rookie of the year, do we offensive rookie of the year, the Chargers team doctor that shot
yes
that shot Tyrod Taylor up in the ribs and ended his tenure in LA?
Did you ever see they did the meme with Stone Cold Steve Austin running in when Vince McMahon was laying in the hospital, stabbing him and stuff? They said that was the team doctor going in there to take care of Tyrod Taylor so Herbert could get the nod.
Maybe it was a doctor like Dr. Pepper is a doctor. I digress. As we move forward, we look towards the Super Bowl. We won't dive in because next week on the podcast, we're really going to dive into props, locks, plays, over-unders, where the money's going to be. But guys, real quick, as we look forward to Mahomes, Brady, Chiefs, Bucks, Super Bowl, what's the one thing that you're most excited for about this matchup? Now, of course, the Chiefs won 27-24 in the regular season in Tampa. Tyreek Hill went just absolutely bonkers. He must not have ate all week. He waited to eat his entire week's worth of meal on Sunday afternoon. But the thing that I really look forward to in this matchup, before I turn it over to you guys, is just the matchup of the Buccaneers pass defense, which, mind you, was gashed in the playoffs by Washington and Green Bay. Of course, New Orleans struggled against them, but that was Drew Brees riding off into the sunset. But 350 total yards a game, 264 of which come through the air in the postseason. The only worst defenses in the playoffs were the Bills, Colts, Washington football team, and the Browns. And of course, the Browns and the Bills were both thrashed by the Chiefs. So Antoine Winfield better be healthy. They better figure out a way to guard the tight end position because Travis Kelce is no joke. They have been very, very vulnerable to opposing tight ends, very vulnerable against the pass. I think Mahomes could put up 500-600 yards in this game.
Yeah, I'm just very much looking forward to the quarterback battle here between Mahomes and Brady. We talk about the baby goat versus the goat, and they get another crack at it. Mahomes got the nod earlier this year. Can Brady get the revenge in the Super Bowl? We'll see. But, what really stood out is just how dominant Tyreek Hill was in that game with 269 yards and 3 touchdowns, which then transferred to Mahomes for 462 yards and those 3 touchdowns. to Hill. So, I'm just really looking forward to this, to see how the, Buccaneers pass defense will be against this Kansas City team. And you take a look, you got Brady on one side, and you got just so much talent on the other side. And I think it's really going to come down to maybe, one big play and who will make the least amount of mistakes. We saw that Brady threw 2 picks in that game earlier this season. He just had 3 picks last week. So, in my opinion, I think it's going to come down to who will be able to capitalize. And, I think Mahomes will be able to, if it comes down to it. It's going to be one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a while, and I think it's going to be one of the higher scoring Super Bowls that we've seen in a while. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ben. I don't know how with this type of matchup you do not look forward to this one. I mean, two of the best QBs in the game. You got kind of Brady with the best quarterback of all time, and then you have the new up-and-comer Patrick Mahomes potentially chasing Brady as becoming the best quarterback of all time, and they're meeting up again in the Super Bowl. I look back on the last time whenever the Chiefs and Patriots played. I remember when the Patriots knocked them off, Brady waited after the game a little bit to make sure he went and talk to Patrick Mahomes after the locker room. And I think that says enough right there about Patrick Mahomes and what Brady kind of saw in him and knew the potential with him. That's not really a type of thing that Brady does with just about anybody. So I think Brady sensed and he knew that Mahomes was coming. This guy has what it's all about. So definitely looking forward to this matchup. It's kind of, if Mahomes wants to have that case to be the best ever and be on his way to be the best ever, if he wins this, he's looking good. He's got that chance. If not, I mean, he's still obviously going to be amazing Hall of Famer. It's going to be tough for him to catch Brady if he does not, with Brady adding another one, him not getting one, Brady beating him, obviously. In terms of just the overall game, I mean, I know the Chiefs potentially might have lost Eric Fisher, their key lineman. I don't think he's been officially rolled out yet, but it was an Achilles injury. I believe he's not going to play. I don't know how he could play from that. I guess it wasn't as bad as they initially thought, so he might play. I mean, obviously, in terms of when it comes to the Super Bowl, you're going to do anything you want to play. So, but I mean, that could be a big factor with the lineman, especially with what the Bucs D line has been doing. It's kind of been underrated so far in this playoffs with what they got going on. Jason Pierre-Paul was really good in the Packers game. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to save my prediction for next week on it. I think build a little suspense on it and also just give myself some time to think about this because I have no idea where I'm going to go or which way I'm going to go. Obviously, I've been picking against Brady throughout these playoffs here, so I might ride that out, or do I finally go against it and pick Brady to get it done? So definitely looking forward to it. Obviously, when it comes to coaches as well, we have an unbelievable coaching matchup. Andy Reid, it's unbelievable what getting Patrick Mahomes has done for him in terms of his career. That probably could be something we'll touch on next week as well. But he went from being the guy that couldn't get it done, never winning the game, to now he's in the conversation for one of the best coaches ever by getting a guy like Patrick Mahomes. So very excited for this matchup. It's going to be a good one, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, like Zach said, we'll save the deep dive into this one for next week. But let's give a shout out, Stank, to your GOAT, Aaron Rodgers. Brady now has as many NFC championships as Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees. Can revert back to my Tom Brady rant prior to the playoffs, where Brady's proved that he wasn't just a cog in the Patriot machine. He's doing it here in Tampa Bay in his first season. Andy Reid, Bruce Arians, 2 great coaches, 2 great minds for the game. Like to see the chess match that those 2 play against each other. You got Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, a lot of stars over there in Kansas City. I've said it a zillion times. I'll say it again. You never bet against Tom Brady, especially in the playoffs. Even more so in the Super Bowl. Tom Brady putting another one on the shelf. Let's go Bucs.
Yeah, I'll be quick with mine, just agreeing with Zach and Geoff. They said it all. I'm just super excited for this matchup. Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronkowski, playoff Lenny Fournette, Ron Jones III, Pat Jones's dad, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Jordan Whitehead. I mean, that's just on the Bucs team. Then you got Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, the Honey Badger, Lev Bell, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Stanko's boy, was a bust in fantasy. But this is just going to be a great Super Bowl to watch. I'm going to try not to bet it, but when it all comes down to it, I haven't missed a week of NFL football NFL football not betting, so I'm going to have to bet it. Stank.
There's nothing else to do other than bet it. You gotta take a shot at my boy Clyde the Glide Edwards-Helaire in his rookie year. At the time he was hurt, he had more total yards than any other rookie running back in the National Football League. So, be it what you may, I wouldn't necessarily call him a bust. I know I'd rather have him running the football for me than you, Joe. As we move forward. We always talk about football on the podcast. Sometimes we sneak in some interesting topics. And why don't we go to the frozen pond? Interesting developments close to home for us here in the National Hockey League this year. Penguins general manager Jim Rutherford says, you don't need to tell me to pack my stuff. I'll pack my own stuff. I'll see you later. Enjoy it, buds. Jim Rutherford resigns mid-season. How are we feeling about this? We got a hockey guy, Geoff Landry, on the pod. That's what we bring him in for.
Hey, this is right up my alley. First and foremost, let's give a shout out to Jim Rutherford, goaltender in his playing days. One of the first ones to design a mask. He pioneered that for NHL goaltenders. They should just wear solid colored masks. He went out there with design on back in the Red Wings days. Shout out to Rutherford for that. But no, seriously, I remember back the Penguins in 2014, they fired Dan Bylsma and also brought in Jim Rutherford as general manager. I think it was in summer of 2014. I remember thinking, who is this guy? He won a Stanley Cup in Carolina, but is about 8 years removed. The Hurricanes hadn't made the playoffs at the time for 5 straight years. So I'm thinking, what are we bringing in this guy for? Then the Penguins bring in Mike Johnson as the coach. And I remember I was sitting in my new apartment in Virginia. Just had moved down there in December 2015, and I tweeted out, I will never watch another Penguin game until they fire Mike Johnson because this team's underperforming with the lineup that he has. Sure enough, Mike Johnson gets fired, and they bring in Sully.
Maybe they saw the tweet.
I don't know. They didn't want to lose a good fan in me, but they bring him in, and the rest is history. Jim Rutherford, one of the best GMs in all of hockey, what he did for the Penguins, bringing them those cups. And just want to recap a little bit about what Jim did for the Pens. Number one on the list, bringing in Phil the Thrill. Big get there. Phil the Thrill brings in 2 Stanley Cups in Phil's first 2 years. Another big one was trading James Neal, who was 2 years removed from scoring 40 goals. Bringing in Patrick Hornquist for James Neal, who was just 2 years removed from a 40-goal season. Hornquist was proved just as good as he was down in Nashville. Put the cherry on top there, scores a game winner in the 2017 final. Another one under Rutherford was HBK was created whenever they traded for Carl Hagelin. He teamed up with Bonino and Kessel, and, they were unreal in that playoff run. And then another big get for Jim Rutherford was Justin Schultz. They brought in Schultz at the trade deadline in 2016, and he was an immediate top 4 defenseman for the Penguins. Helped them win the Stanley Cup in both 2016 and 2017. So usually this is when I tell a guy to pack his stuff, but shout out to Jim Rutherford. Thanks for the Stanley Cups, Jim.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of dive into a little bit what happened here. Geoff, with Jim Rutherford's resume and what he did, he spoke about it in full there. So this was kind of big news, I guess, a little bit like you were saying, Ryan, hit home big news for us. A lot of other people around might not have known this, but Jim Rutherford resigned, and there was a lot of speculation on why he resigned, whether it was he was trying to make a trade or and the front office and upper office didn't want this, so that's how he resigned. He did go, however, on a local radio station, Mark Madden here in Pittsburgh, who is #1 sports radio host in Pittsburgh, to discuss this. He kind of cleared the air on why he resigned. I mean, obviously, you got to understand he might not be telling us the full details or the full truth of what happened. He's a stand-up guy, character guy, but he did, however, mention on the show that he did not resign because of anybody that had to do with Penguins players. I don't know if that hints at maybe he was trying to make an outside trade and they just weren't happy with it or didn't agree with it, or if he was just trying to keep it so it wasn't about the Penguins players. Another interesting thing that Jim did talk about was he did open up the possibility of going to a new team after this year ends. He is with the Penguins. His contract is with the Penguins through July, he mentioned. So he obviously won't be going anywhere soon, but he did bring up the possibility of going somewhere else. So that kind of also gives me a little bit of a hint that what happened with Pittsburgh was kind of, it didn't work out, or there was some frustration with the ownership, or they had a disagreement, because him opening the possibility to go to another team makes me think like he's not, he didn't do this resignation because he's retiring, he's done, he didn't think he has it anymore. He still wants to control a team. So I don't know what happened. We probably never will know what happened. It's hard to go against Jim Rutherford with the decisions, obviously getting us to 2 cups, getting the Penguins to 2 cups. So we'll see what happens going forward. We'll see if anything comes out from this, but obviously cap tip to Jim Rutherford and what he did. And it'll be curious to see what the Penguins do from here, because they do still have Sidney Crosby, the best player arguably in the NHL, and a team that can win the cup. So that does need to make some moves. So we'll see what they go with next.
Yeah, I think Rutherford just realized that you can't get it done without proper ingredients. And ingredients to win in a Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh has been pretty simple. You can't get it done without flour.
There are some rumblings that the Pens might be potentially, or should be potentially, considering reacquiring Marc-Andre Fleury. Not really sure if they have the cap space or the capital to pull off a move like that, but we will have to see what the Penguins do moving forward. Jim Rutherford, 13 years as an NHL goalie, goes into the Hall of Fame in 2019, spent 20 years as a Carolina general manager, of course, went back-to-back in Pittsburgh in 16 and 17, and won the 2006 Stanley Cup with Carolina, which stands as their only cup in franchise history. Next man up, Ben, for the Penguins is interim GM, the first Swede to ever be general manager in the National Hockey League, Patrick Alvin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, how this goes here for the Penguins. They've been kind of struggling this year so far, and I think they're struggling at the goalie position, so that'd be something amazing to bring back to Flower to Pittsburgh. We'll see what happens. There's definitely some things that they need to fix if they want to go back to a Stanley Cup. But you take a look at Rutherford, coming into the season in 2014 when he started. There's some questions, but Geoff rattled off some of those big trades: Kessel, Bonino, Hagelin, the HBK line, and also winning them 2 Stanley Cups. He did a lot there for the city. And, we might not know or ever know why he actually fully did decide to resign. But, the question is, how will it go from here? And there's a lot of questions that need answered in Pittsburgh, just in the city in general. You talk about the Steelers, you talk about the Pirates and the Penguins. There's a lot of questions that need answered for our city and what we're going to do from here. besides the Pirates, we're a winning city. So we need to get the help pretty quick, and we'll see what this Swede can do here in Pittsburgh.
So real quick, before we sign it off for another signed, sealed, delivered, stamp it down edition of the WDTB podcast, Joe calls out my man Clyde the Glide Edwards-Helaire in his rookie season in weeks 1 through 15 before, of course, the week that he got hurt. He was RB 13 in PPR leagues. So my homework contradicts the fact that your eye test says my man Clyde the Glide was a fantasy football.
I'm just
boss.
messing
If you
with
have
you,
something
Ryan.
to say, if you have something to say about it, save it for next week.
Wait, Ryan, before we go, Ryan, before we go,
Yes.
we brought up you forgot about the biggest betting odds of the weekend. Didn't you see the poll this week? The 2021 Royal Rumble. Who you picking to win? You put money on it?
Daniel Bryan, no money. I'll just sit back and watch. Daniel Bryan, yes, yes,
No,
yes. With
no,
that.
no.
I'm picking. I got X-Pac.
What?
With that, wrestling goofiness aside, we're gonna send it off. Another edition of the WDTB broadcast brought to you by the team here. We had a full team back. Felt good to have all 5 of us back on the pod. The brothers say, we'll see you next week.